Hello everybody, Don here, and welcome to the very first edition of Six Questions. And all six questions is asked by the same person, MarkBoy316. And I'm sorry, MarkBoy316, I had to rearrange your questions a little bit for the way you had it on. You commented on the announcements and discussion video, and the explanation being is one question kinda coordinates with the other one, with me. And so that's the plain or the actual reason why I had to rearrange them. So again, MarkBoy316, I'm sorry, but I had to rearrange them for that reason. Now getting to MarkBoy316's question, or first question. How many DVDs do you have, or estimated you have? Now, if you're talking about all DVDs together, then roughly 300 to 400 DVDs. And say you might see behind me where my wrestling DVDs, where I have some separated, or it's not the full shelf. But the reason being it's not the full shelf is because I have the ones that is not the full shelf is because those are the pay-per-view DVDs, and I have them separated by year, and I do not have the full year for each one, and the full year for some of them went on that shelf, if that makes sense. Now, if you're just talking about wrestling DVDs, it's roughly 300 to 400. Just for wrestling DVDs, because what the majority I have is wrestling DVDs for right now. I don't really have that many TV series or movies for right now. I would like to get more. I just can't financially afford to get more movies or TV series or even wrestling DVDs right now. Going into MarkBoy316's next question. What is the most expensive DVD you ever bought? And I have it right here, and it's the Raw 20th Anniversary Edition DVD. And I paid like $35 for it plus tax. And it has a total of 12 DVDs of DVDs, and has 20 uncut, unedited DVDs or raw episodes, and I got it at a store called, or I don't know why, but my store, or my FYE store is called Coconuts, and I got it there and paid like 30 to $35 before tax. I think it was $34.99 before tax. So moving on to MarkBoy316's next question, and before I go to the next question, this is where I had correlation of where it's combination, where two questions was kind of mixed with me. And the reason why is why I'm going to read the next two questions, really. And I want the two questions here. and I'm sorry that I don't give a lengthy uh answer. It's just the question so far doesn't really require a lengthy explanation. Now, that the first question here is, what's your favorite wrestling DVD? And I'm going to have to give a reason why, and so therefore to understand why I'm saying it. Also the next question is, what's your favorite male and female superstars? And why the reason why that correlate those two questions correlates with me is because my favorite wrestling DVD would have to be Owen Hart, The Heart of Gold. And the reason being is because Owen Hart is my favorite male superstar of all time. Actually, he's my all-time favorite anyway in the wrestling business. And and the reason why Owen is my favorite is because of he was great in the ring, great on the mic. He was not only those, but he was also uh, a kind person. He always would help other people out if he could, and that's why I would, when I have a kid, I would want I want to name my kid my firstborn son to be named Owen. Uh, and go with my favorite female. Well, going my the other male wrestlers, as he's made it plural. My second favorite male wrestler would have to be Edge. If you didn't see the WWE Shop unboxing, go ahead check it out. Uh, I even mentioned in there where Edge is my second favorite wrestler of all time. Third would have to be Eddie Guerrero. My fourth would have to be the Icon, the man they call Sting. Uh, my fifth would have to be Brian Pillman, not Junior, Senior. And I don't think I need to go any further than five. Uh, but hang on just a second. I just need to get something, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Now going into my favorite female superstars of all time, and I'm going to do my number five would have to be Charlotte Flair, for the sole reason of her in ring work and her mic skills. I say, come on, if you ever watched her inside the ring, you know why she's a good choice to be in your top five. Now she'll probably, if she's staying in character, she would probably argue that she should be your number one. But me, she's not my number one. She has to be not my number five. Uh, Going into my number four has to be, for me, Alexa Bliss. And say, for me, a lot of people will say she's not great in the ring and all that, and but for me, she's great. She's great on the mic. She's great in the ring. And come on, she's hot. And I can't think of any woman to be the first woman to have a talk show. And other than Alexa Bliss. at least within the modern era. Now, if the women's revolution happened way back then or way back when, I couldn't. I can think of multiple other people that would probably deserve a talk show more than Alexa Bliss does. But the women's revolution didn't happen until, or at least start until like 2014 when NXT really started going off, coming off, taking off, and going into my number three, my third favorite female wrestler of all time would have to be Trish Stratus, and the reason being is if you ever watch Trish Stratus, you can understand why. She's great in the ring, great on the mic. Now, was she great in the ring when she first got started? No, she wasn't. She wasn't great in the ring when she first started, but she wanted it so bad that she was willing to do anything to improve herself inside the ring and on the mic. I think anybody will agree with that. That just proves how hard of a working woman she is. I think anybody will have to agree with what Trish Stratus is. And my number two favorite female wrestler of all time would have to be Lita. Lastly, so if you think about it, Lita was an edge, but with that aside, if you watch her in the ring or listen to her on the mic, she is great on the mic and in the ring. And same thing with the same thing that I described with Trish Stratus can be described by, or can describe Lita. She is a hard working woman. She wanted to be one of the greatest of all times, or all time, uh, in the wrestling business, and she went down to Mexico to learn the craft, and she finally made it to the WWF, eventually WWE, and she worked very hard in that company, and then eventually she would be tagged with Hardys, and then once shortly after she started uh, being being put with the Hardys, she would hang out with the Hardys and a few others, and eventually start dating Matt Hardy, and then she dated him for like 5-6 years, and the whole thing with Edge happened, where everybody should know the story if they at least grew up. I grew up in that era, if not older, where text messages happened, Matt found out, and so on, and the rest unfolded in front of our eyes, and the rest is history. Now, for my number one favorite of all time, has to be, and I don't have the Iconics DVD, or Iconic Matches DVD for this one, so I'm gonna have to show you her action figure that I have. If you haven't noticed, right up here, it's missing. Has to be Becky Lynch. and I think anyone would agree that she's a great in-ring performer and great on the mic. Yes, her character recently got a little bit stale, from my opinion. I had to agree with Tommy from Wrestling Rampage on that. That has got stale, but Tommy says, for his opinion, it's completely stale. I say just a little bit stale and boring. But she's great on the mic. She's great in the ring. Who else better to have as your favorite female wrestler of all time? Now, this list is not my overall list. This is just separated. Now, if you want to know my overall list, you have to you need go ahead and ask me that in the comment section below. Like you say, you can ask my top 10, my top 20, whatever, or you can just say over my overall, and I'll put would be gladly to list my overall favorite wrestlers of all time. Now, if you do that, I will probably do the top 25, in between top 10 to top 25. I would have to think about it on that. Now, going to the next Mark Boy 316's next question: which promotion did you first watch as a kid? The first promotion I watched as a kid was technically the WWF, now E. And, well, actually, let me take that back for a second. The first promotion would have to be a tie in between the WWF and the WCW, because I didn't have the control over the remote or the TV at the time, and my dad just kept on flipping back uh, in between back and forth in between WWF and WCW, and so it's technically a tie in between the WWF and WCW. And what else can I say about that? It's not really lengthy answer to give for that question. Going to Markboy 316's last question. Name 3 of your favorite matches of all time and why. Now, I had to give this some thought, because this is really hard for me because I never really thought about it. I knew the first match, the number 1 match of all time, right off the bat. And I knew another one right off the bat, but just the third one. And I would have to go with SummerSlam 2005, the ladder match for the custody of Dominic, Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio. Obviously, Dominic's Rey's natural-born son. Say anybody will know by looking at it, or by looking at Rey's face. Yes, you should be able to find pictures of Rey's face. somewhere from WCW, because he did have his mask off at the end, and some along with some other places. If you look at Ray's face and look at Dominic's, they look identical to each other. That was just a great match, and the reason why it's my number in the number third spot is because one, it's a great match. Two, it told a great story. With Eddie couldn't be kept on trying to beat Ray and never could, and then of course they had a set Eddie saying, "You want me to tell your secret about Dominic?" And Eddie saying, I'm your pappy" to Dominic, and eventually leads up to the SummerSlam 2005 in the ladder match for the custody of Dominic. And going in number 2, it has to be the Tables, Ladders, and Chairs match from Unforgiven 2006. John Cena versus the WWE Champion, the Rated R Superstar, Edge. Can I? They told a great story. Because if you look at leading up to from throughout 2006, and just go back a little bit further, it ain't gonna take that long. In 2005, I believe April 2005, at WrestleMania 21, they had the very first Money in the Bank ladder match, and Edge won that. Going back to going back to 2006, very first pay per view of 2006 in January, early January. John Cena defended his WWE Championship inside a elimination chamber, and he retained his WWE Championship. And after that match, here comes Vince McMahon walking out, saying, "This night ain't over." Ray and said, "Raise the cage," and then goes on and say, "This night ain't over. There's going to be another match." This man is going to be cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase or contract, and this is going to be uh, for the WWE Championship. Edge walks out, goes to the ring with Lita, and walks out as WWE Champion. Next night, he has the live set celebration with Lita, and 3 weeks later, he lost it again to John Cena, and with special guest referee Mick Foley, which leads up to or starts the rivalry that Edge had with Mick Foley, leading to WrestleMania 22, and he then that from there he had Mick Foley had where reintroduced the hardcore title. He and had where him and Edge was the co-hardcore champions, and then after that they had the match at ECW One Night Stand 2006 where it was where originally it was supposed to be Edge and Mick Foley versus Terry Funk and Tommy Dreamer, which eventually got turned into a 6-person match tag where it was Edge, Leah, and Mick Foley versus Tommy Dreamer, Beulah McGillicuddy, his wife, and then Terry Funk. And then it eventually leads back into John Cena and Edge, leading to SummerSlam 2006. And then in Boston, Massachusetts, supposedly John Cena's hometown, and then John Cena loses, which then eventually leads into Edge's hometown at Unforgiven 2006 in the TLC match. And what a match that they put on. I think everybody will have to agree that at seeing this match, that this has to be one of the greatest matches of all time. Not the greatest, but one of. Now going to my number one spot, or my number one match of all time, and to wind it back all the way to 1994 WrestleMania 10, the opening match in between Bret Hart and Owen Hart. What a match! They told a phenomenal story of younger brother jealous of older brother, never and always being outshined by older brother. What a storyline that is. This would never worked out the way Vince wanted, who Vince wanted to have Bret to have this rivalry with. And because Vince McMahon wanted Bruce to play the role of Bret, or not play the role of Bret, but be in Bret's spot of that rivalry, and then Bret being in the role of Owen. This rivalry would never worked out the way it did if it was Bret and Bruce. It was not. It would never been worked out to be at a great rivalry as it was if it was Bret and Bruce, because Bruce was not the most popular out of the Hart family. The top two most popular out of the Hart family would have to be Bret and Owen. I think everybody would have to agree on that. He and his say say if you think about it, this has to be one of the greatest rivalries of all time. He had started at Survivor Series, not the previous Survivor Series of 1993, and Owen being the only one eliminated out of the Hart team, and he believed that Bret cost him the elimination because Bret went over from the Hart family corner, moved over, and as soon as uh, Owen went to the ropes, he knocked off Bret, and Owen Owen was distracted by Bret, and Owen believes that he Bret cost him the elimination because he went over and got knocked over by not by not knocked off by the apron by Owen by accident. And then of course Owen eventually forgives him, gives him a second chance. They had the tag team championship match at the Royal Rumble against the Quebecers, and Bret just wanted to stay in the match, not tag Owen, even though he was hurt badly. And all Brett had to do was tag Owen, and they would have won the match. And then Owen delivers one of the most famous lines: "I kicked your leg underneath your leg," and therefore Brett and Owen would go into the Royal Rumble match, and then Owen would get eliminated from the Rumble, and Brett would win. But with this match, it was two winners. So Brett not only had to face, or the winner was not only Brett, but Lex Luger as well. So therefore, they had to come to a conclusion, and President Jack Tunney made the conclusion, even though it wasn't actually Jack Tunney, came to the conclusion to have like a vote to where either Luger had to face somebody, or either Luger had the chance first to face Yokozuna for the WWF Championship, or if Brett did. And whoever got to face, or didn't get to face Yoko at first, had to face somebody else in the earlier in the night. And obviously Brett didn't. Luger got to face Yoko first, and so Brett had to face Owen. At the top of my head, I cannot think of who Luger's opponent would have been if Luger had to face somebody else earlier in the night. If you know, please leave it down in the comment section below. And what a match and rivalry that they had. And of course, say it would end up with Brett messing up with, and Owen had to roll Brett up, cut the pin, and then of course later in the night, Big Brother, old Big Brother, won the WWF Championship. And then later in that year, they had another match at SummerSlam 1994, but this time it was in the old baby blue steel cage, and that match also was great. But it's not, if I'm looking at all matches, I cannot put that match in my top three. If you're asking me top five, that match there would have to be my number 4. Now, and say something to add to that match a little bit. The Hart family was at ringside for it. Now, that's the end of this of the very first edition of 6 questions. Don't forget to leave your questions down below in the comment section below. And there's one thing I like to add before I end this video, and that's Team Coupon is going to be a little bit of a while before I get to your questions. I did see them. And I would like you to know that I did see them. It's just you don't have enough questions for a whole new video. So it's going to be a little while until I can get some more questions so it can be a full 6 questions edition. Now, and I like to add just a little bit with that. If 2 questions kind of, even though I won't be doing, or I'd add a question like Retro Rampage does, but it still be labeled 6 questions. It'll be a special 7 question edition. It's just the question has to kind of relate to each other, or not take that long. And say if it doesn't take that long, or relate to each other, then I'll uh, answer. And that's the end of this edition, very first edition of 6 questions. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave those questions down below in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and if you want to hit me up on Facebook or follow me on Twitter or Instagram, you can go to the channel, the main channel screen, and hit the links. Take you straight there. Uh, Thanks for watching.